One of the most difficult things we all sort of struggle with as performers is being too self-critical of yourself. It's a natural thing to do, and it's almost also a necessary thing to do. You always have to be critical, like, oh, what can I improve? What can I do better? And that makes you a good musician to be able to do that. But you got to make sure you sort of do this at a healthy level. Being so present online it sort of opens yourself up to being worried about what people think a lot of the time. But there's been a lot of videos that I have, even if they're just small videos or whatnot, that I record. I'm like, oh no, I can't share that.
Hey friends, welcome to Oh Sheet, my podcast where I talk to inspiring and awesome people about music, art, and everything we have to do as musicians in this industry. Now, today's guest is Stephanie Jones, an award-winning soloist and chamber musician who's specialized in classical guitar. She's one of the biggest names of her age in our community right now. She's often performing and touring worldwide, and she has a massive follower base on YouTube. Her many solo albums showcase the versatility and colors of classical guitar and encourage people of all ages to learn and play this beautiful instrument. Now, you also must know that this episode was brought to you by the Dario, my absolute choice of strings, but we're going to talk a little bit more about them later. I wanted to talk about a couple of things because I've been a huge fan of your work for like 6, 7, 8 years for now, and what I absolutely admire about your work is how your performing career is, at least for me, it's what I feel. It's been in the center through this whole time, but you are doing so well on social media. However, I don't actually consider you as like a content creator, but it feels like the content you produce, the things you put out there on the internet is always in service of your music, of your performing career, and that's wonderful. And I just wanted to talk about these topics today.
Yeah, I owe a lot for my career to my presence on social media. Having all of these supporters, I'm so thankful for all these supporters, for listening all over the years. It's really transformed my life in many ways. Really sort of took my concert career off by just having so many. I had all these videos online, and presenters are able to see these videos, and just getting my name out there in general. So like I came to Europe about 8 years ago, and I was completely unknown. I mean, in Australia, some people knew me, but Australia is sort of so far away. And I did go to some festivals, do some competitions and whatnot, but really the impact of when I was always putting sort of a lot of videos online from a long time ago, but the first videos were just like an image and then the audio underneath. And it was like when I started putting out more sort of professional videos, then it really just skyrocketed. So yeah.
So you would say that the time when you moved to Europe was one of these big events or a key point that defined your career, right?
Oh, for sure. I think there was a lot of opportunities in Europe in terms of there's so many festivals that are going on. It's like every week is almost a festival, There's so many concert series. There's just a lot of fantastic people you can learn from here, and it's just a really great place to be, just to be close to everything. So you can go do a concert one weekend that's only a few hours away, and then the next weekend it's not like, unfortunately, I'm from Perth in Western Australia, and the next biggest town is 3 hours flying, so that's like the whole length of Europe or something.
Yeah, Europe is kind of fun in that sense. Yeah, Europe is great in that sense because everything it's a little bit more packed.
So packed. Yeah.
But I was wondering, now that you mentioned moving to Europe and how it started with your career started here with the videos you started to produce, I was wondering, what do you consider as I don't know, like key points or key moments that really defined your performing career? If you just have to pick some.
Oh, my key moments. Let me think. Well, yes, I mean the move
Jumping
across,
right into it.
Yeah, the move right to Europe was a very big thing, and I think that was a key. I mean, I was moving to study, so I was still sort of like, I mean, we're always in development, but maybe a little bit more in development during that stage. It's difficult to sort of pinpoint exact moments because it's such a gradual sort of change. It's sort of remarkable to like just look back a couple of years and like, oh, I did that and that. They're like, that's great. It's sort of like almost every step is sort of seems quite significant. I think, I mean, there was a series of videos that I posted, like the Invierno Porteño video that did very well. I think that was good, and then sort of collaborating with Sikas was a great
Yeah,
that was a great step for me. And then I think for more recently a big career significant step would be that I did this big tour in the US. That's been long coming. I was meant to do it in 2020, but I felt like doing that was something I always wanted to do. But it's such a big thing to get the visa and everything, and then organize all the concerts together. That was a lot of work to sort of coordinate.
Do you have help in concert organization?
No,
I mean probably. No, you do it alone.
So, I mean, there's...
Oh my God. That sounds a lot of work. It's crazy.
The solo tour stuff. So anything to do with International Guitar Night, they have, which is like this, we sort of tour around with the four of us, 4 different musicians every year.
I know.
Yeah, so they do everything when they're for their thing, this thing. But when it's sort of in terms of, that solo tour that I did for about 6 weeks last year, as well as anything that I'm doing in Europe or anything, it's just me and the email account.
Wow, that's crazy. That must take a lot of emailing. Yeah, it does take a lot, and I apologize to anyone if I'm a few days late to reply, because sometimes it's a difficult thing, like being a musician. I mean, especially sort of in the 21st century, it's sort of like we have to be able to do so many different things. It's not like there are things that are easier now, and there are things that are more difficult. And one of the more difficult things is that we have to understand software, understand how to record, be a manager for ourselves, be a graphic designer, basically, who make thumbnails and whatnot, and also being able to play, and then all the sort of different things we have to worry about, right? So yeah, absolutely. I feel like playing well is like the entry level, so congratulations, that's great. And now you have all these, the 20 other hats that you need to put on, and you need to be able to do. So being a good player is really, I feel like it's not enough anymore if you don't know how to get your work seen, how to put yourself out there, how to manage your music career. I'm not sure if it's gonna work out. I mean, probably there are some people who manage to make it work, but for the majority of people, of musicians, it just doesn't seem enough anymore. But I didn't know. I wouldn't tell, because for me, managing a US tour, from my perspective, it just seems such a huge thing. I wouldn't thought that it's all you managing it.
Yeah, I mean,
wow.
I get
just wow.
I get concert requests, and then I put them all together, and then I see sort of I write to each of them and see what sort of time time scale would work, and then try to make a sort of a coherent itinerary. So when I last toured, it was sort of like going around like this. And you know, usually it's okay. People are mostly flexible in terms of just different weekends and whatnot, or when to do the concert. And then you're responsible for booking your own travel. So you worry about all the travel stuff, but as soon as you get to the place, the organizers take care of the logistics and the accommodation and whatnot. So as long as you sort of plan the tour in a reasonable manner, and then also make sure you book the flights, then I'm trying to make it sound easy, but it's not easy, but it's sort of
I bet
it's manageable. Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing was just the visa is a lot of work. You have to compile so many documents, and you have to go to the embassy, and then that's probably the biggest thing, getting over that.
So you have to, once you get it, you just want to do as many concerts there as possible. So before the visa expires.
yeah, that's why I was like so many months last year in the US. Really made the most of it.
Oh, right. Makes a lot of sense. Well, work smart, not hard.
Yeah.
As the saying goes. I was wondering, what would you say if the YouTube, when I think your YouTube started to take off around like this 6-7 years ago, right? Or maybe a bit earlier.
About that, yeah. Something
about that. So do you think that your YouTube channel had a significant impact on your performing career?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I mentioned before, people wouldn't know who I was if they didn't have these recordings to hear, and concert organizers wouldn't have like a reference point. And a lot of these concerts are also people see me online, and then they're in sort of maybe guitar societies or whatnot, and they say to the person who organizes concerts, "Oh, I really love this player. Can we get them in?" So I'm really thankful to all of those people as well who recommend me to join the concert series. I've heard that happen numerous times. And I mean, the YouTube channel, even before it started to take off, I was just having the content on there. Also, if you're thinking about going to a university and you want to get in contact with a professor, for example, just having something online to say, "Oh, look, I play guitar, this is sort of what I do," and then just being aware of you to start off with is a really useful thing. I mean, it's so integral these days as a 21st century musician that to have stuff that people can listen to online, have these avenues to get to know who you are as a musician. And YouTube was the biggest thing for me in terms of across the platforms, and that really gave me the exposure that wouldn't be possible otherwise. No one would know me without YouTube, I don't think.
I think same for me. So without social media, I mean, I'm not a performing artist. I live in this little bubble here in this little studio, but still I feel like I get to do what I want to do. So my days are exactly how I want them to be, and I even if I feel exhausted at the end of the day because I feel like, oh, I worked a lot, I'm working on things that are meaningful to me, and it's absolutely something that I can thank to, well, YouTube. On one hand, YouTube, and the other thing is I'm also I'm also live streaming, so that's the other thing. But this basically social media, and that's why I was asking how you feel social media have affected your performing career, because it's just social media provides an exposure opportunity, sometimes beyond what we can reach personally, what we can reach in person. Because I don't know if you had that phase in your life, but when I was much younger, I remember those concerts when we organized a very little local concert near to our university, and maybe 20 people showed up. And that's great. It was lovely because it was a different atmosphere. But playing for 20 people won't really get you a career, right? So on one hand, it's really, really nice. But on the other hand, you feel like, okay, I have to get my stuff seen by people. And that's why I was wondering how the YouTube affected your performing opportunities, if it expanded or not.
Yeah, for sure. It's what we have to do these days, and it's also it was also just a learning curve on. I always tell people the importance of just recording yourself and listening back on yourself, and having these goals as well to set up for us. Something it's difficult as a freelancer. You have to manage yourself, and sort of having these sorts of goals to have a video out in a month, or a video out, or whatever, these sorts of restraints that you put yourself under is just a great way of keeping yourself in check and having pieces to work towards and whatnot. So it's sort of YouTube has been like a personal sort of benefit to myself as a musician, but also of course there's the exposure. I mean, I think I remember doing these concerts as well to about 20 people in sort of small audiences. They're really fantastic in terms of getting you the experience and the practice to be able to perform and to get out there. I think that's also a very necessary part of building sort of a career. But in terms of getting yourself out there, it's if you gotta put stuff online. Yeah,
but do you think this content creation era or internet guitarist era, what we are in now, is it like a necessary bad thing?
Oh, it's not necessarily bad. I mean, I think it's fantastic. We can listen to so many great players just in our living rooms or wherever you are. And it's the access to music and the access to listening to other people's interpretations, just to enjoy the music, reaching out to people. Also, a few years ago I did this crowdfunding for my CD. I mean, the amount of people who helped me make that possible was it's just fantastic. I think of course there's negative things about social media. There's, in general, I'm not talking about like as a musician or whatnot, but in general there's also all these sorts of problems with insecurities and whatnot. But as a whole, I think it's been a fantastic thing to be able to get to share your music with the world.
Right.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree. I was just wondering because I know a lot of musicians struggles with the idea of content creation, with the fact that now it's not enough to just play music well and show up and be a good musician, but you also have to be creative with how you represent yourself, how you show your work to the world. And I was wondering how you live with this content creation thing, how you internalize it.
Well, it is difficult in the sense that we have to be able to do so many different things, and that's quite challenging. But in terms of sort of having to present yourself and get yourself out there, I think that was always there. If you want to be a performer, it's only sort of like if on the high level, it's only going to be sort of a select group of people. It's not ever going to be an easy thing. Back in the day, it was more like you got to try and get yourself out there, but to get a record deal. And then when you get the record deal, then a lot of stuff is sort of sorted for you in a way. So you're given a lot more control, but it's also a lot more work personally as an individual. But it's part of the deal. If you want to be a performer, then you have to put yourself out there, and these days that means to be online on sort of social media on platforms and whatnot. But you would have had to put yourself out there in the past as well in different ways. There's also the competition avenue. You could win GFA and that would help a lot. But also people who win these competitions, they also have to put themselves out there as well. Every big name in the guitar world has videos online of them playing. So if you're not willing to sort of like record yourself and put yourself out there, then it's maybe not like, maybe it's not the right thing to do, because that's sort of, even without YouTube, you would have to be doing this sort of thing anyway. It's just that we have to also then now do all that like editing and the, you know, all that other stuff that we talked about.
So you brought up the competition topic, which is really exciting, because I think a lot of people still thinks that it's the only way to really get exposure in the classical guitar community or in the music industry. In order to make a performing career, you have to win some competitions to get your name known or to be seen. And I was wondering what you think about it, because I know that you also have a lot of experience in competitions and also on social media. So how would you compare the effect of those two things?
Yeah, I mean, these are two very, significant ways of building a career. Is this sort of the competition path, and then there's the, more online path. And yeah, you're right. I have done both. I mean, I've won a couple of competitions here and there. I wouldn't say I did the whole circuit or anything, or did GFA or these huge competitions that are out there. And I don't think that's necessary these days. And even just winning these competitions doesn't mean that you make a career out of it. I mean, there's so many competitions, and there are so many winners every year, and not every one of these winners have a career, which is totally fine. They're probably doing other things that are also fantastic. It's sort of figuring out what this career is, because there's so many different aspects to what this career is. But talking about like a strictly performing sort of career, it's not necessary. You don't have to do that these days. If you can go, you can get the exposure online. You just gotta, I mean, it's also something that can be quite difficult, and there are a lot of people that are trying to do this, but it's an equally valid way of, and legitimate way of making a career in this century. Saying that, I mean, winning some of these competitions doesn't hurt you.
Yeah, right.
Of course. But also, maybe that's just not something that's for you. I think competitions are also can be quite difficult in the sense that it's a sort of a completely different atmosphere, a completely different way of sort of approaching. It's also a very strategic way of approaching performance, and you can be an absolutely excellent, fantastic musician and not win competitions. So it's sort of just it's not the be all end all. I think it's more interesting if you have something to say musically, and if you're able to get that out there by other means. I think that's fantastic.
Right. Okay. So if we would try to translate this, because I think we are onto something here, and I was wondering how you would, if you would have to give an advice to an 18 years old guitarist, what would you tell them?
What would I say? Well, first
I know it's hard. I'm asking stupid questions.
Well, no, they're not stupid at all. It's very interesting. I think what I would tell them is I would tell them to be kind to themselves first. Take care of themselves mentally and physically. So make sure generally the best thing you can do for yourself, if this is something you want to pursue a career in, make sure you go in there with the right mindset. So it's sort of a career of perseverance. So things are not always going to work out, and the creative process is something that needs to breathe, but the consistency is key. So really just making sure that doing what you're doing, you love what you're doing, and you keep going at it, and to just do things play music that you really enjoy, and it will help develop you, and really get out there and be involved. You can do this online, or do this going to festivals, or playing with other musicians. That really is extremely helpful. And then I think you've, like we said, making a career is sort of doing having a combination of different tools in your toolkit. So really be interested in other aspects of what it means to have this sort of career. And like I mentioned before, for managing yourself, make sure that you set goals. And these goals can be, I would think, more short-term goals. I'm not really one of those people that are like, in 5 years I want to be like whatever, and in 10 years I want to do blah blah. I think that's sort of like, you never know what's going to happen in 5 years. You want to start thinking more like, this year, what do I want to achieve? Or what pieces do I want to learn? What program do I want to do? Or you know, what pieces do I want to prepare for a video series? Or even if it gets smaller and smaller, like we have to do as freelancers, like what am I doing today? What am I doing in this week? What am I doing in this month? Sort of thing. These sorts of goal setting is really important.
The way you talk about this is actually a little bit funny, because there's a stereotype around musicians, how we are embracing the chaos, and chaos feeds us, and we are just going to, you know, the stereotypical chaotic musician. It's really romanticized. And the way you talk about structure is really familiar to me, because I'm also a person of structure. I like to see my week. I like to see what we are working towards, and to have like a flexible idea, how am I supposed to get there? Because of course, as you said, you never know what exactly going to happen, because opportunities are coming and going, but you want to set a direction and a flexible plan to get there. And that's really good to hear.
Yeah, for sure. I think just living in society is really important, just to be able to function and put out, I think, particularly for people. No, seriously.
No, I get that.
If I don't have goals, I'm just like, what am I doing? Like, I don't know. I just get a bit lost. So, particularly when there's this sort of transition period between people sort of graduating and then sort of trying to figure out what to do after graduating, I think it's extremely, extremely hard. And making sure that you sort of have plans, you set projects, sort of is a way to assist in that.
For me, it was also terribly hard, because suddenly I was out of a normal measurement system, and I had to figure out I had to create a new value system all on my own, and new plans and new things to work towards. And what's really, really shocking after university, I think, is how from these half a year periods, you suddenly transition to an ongoing life. Like, okay, now I graduated, and now here's the next 60 years, and somehow we just have to do this thing here.
Just keeps going, doesn't it? God.
It just keeps going, and there are no structure points in it if you don't make some, and that made it really, really hard for me. So I think I totally agree with you on that. And that's maybe 2 years for me. It was like a little bit more like 2 years of transitioning, and it was really hard. You were talking about these goals, how you like to think in terms of projects, and for example, what you want to do this month. What are some of your projects or ongoing things you are focusing on right now?
Right now? What am I doing?
What am I doing? Oh no.
I've talked a big talk and actually have nothing planned. No. Well,
you can open your calendar. It's not a problem. You can open it. No one's gonna know. No one's gonna know.
So 8:30 a.m. tomorrow morning, I will be. No, there's a bunch of stuff going on. I mean, I'm always sort of collecting concerts that are coming up in the next sort of year or two, different tours. So I have another Nacht der Gitarren, or International Guitar Night tour, in October and November, and then there's sort of scattered concerts here and there throughout the year. I'm starting this project with quintet, a Piazzolla quintet, with Karen Gomio, which is a violinist I've worked with before, and she's absolutely fantastic, like really amazing musician to work with, and she has some really fantastic people as part of this project. So I'm really excited about that because I love playing Piazzolla for sure. And then I'm doing a CD. So I've got a few different ideas that I'm developing, projects I'm developing for this CD. I've been commissioning pieces by women composers for a CD. This is sort of a long-term project in the sense that I just need to make sure I get all the compositions in. So it takes a little bit more time. But before that, I'm thinking of like what can I do for the next few months in terms of a CD project, because I would like to have something for towards the end of the year when I'm off traveling on this tour and whatnot, to have a new album. So I've got a few different ideas that I'll be releasing soon. So you really hear about that soon, but I want to make sure it's all completely solid first. And then so I'm looking for new pieces. Yeah, of course. I've got a bunch of new pieces that are up there. I'm doing a lot of pieces that are sort of inspired by birds, which is sort of funny because I've got this Black Cockatoo a piece by Richard Charlton that I absolutely love. And then, I've been here sitting down in the living room looking outside, and I've seen all these like little winter birds that we feed in the last couple of months. They've been hopping around, and they're just so precious. And so I've been looking up different pieces that are inspired by different birds. And so there's
that's really cool. I love it. I love the concept. Birds are precious.
Yeah. So I've got a few different pieces up my sleeve that I'm learning for that. And I'm sort of, I have these goals about, what videos to post the next on YouTube. And I want to get more into doing more shorts and reels, and I think sort of TikToks. I don't know how that's going to go so much, but in terms of posting more your YouTube shorts and posting more, Instagram reels. So I'm getting more like some videos in preparation. This is like your expertise, really, doing that sort of stuff, right? You do a lot of that.
Well, I'm actually just trying to retire from short form content. I'm actually just trying to find a way to transition to more what you are doing. So it's really funny. It's almost like when you have curly hair, you want straight hair, and when you have straight hair, you want curly hair. It's almost like that. But
well, I think it's like, it's just a different sort of
exploring the opportunities. Exploring what's going on, trying this, trying that.
I think shorts are also good to do for if you want to do, make your YouTube channel bigger. I think it helps to have like a lot of these short forms on YouTube. I think I don't have a lot. I have like maybe one short, so that's like I'm sort of thinking, maybe I should put a few more up. But it's sort of it's just fun. It's sort of giving me this sort of challenge of learning these sorts of maybe shorter pieces or different types of pieces that I can put online. And I'm sort of doing that alongside every month on Patreon. I do a live stream now, and I'm going to do a sort of a series. I haven't told them yet, but I'm going to do a series where they they can request a little piece that I can learn for that month, and then post and share it on Patreon and whatnot. So
that's cool.
I sort of said a bunch of different things that I'm doing, but it's sort of organizing that now, and I'm excited to see how that all develops.
Yeah, you just touched so many different topics, and the questions and the ideas are just popping here in the air around me. Give me 1 second. I have to structure them. So first of all, what I wanted to ask quickly is you were talking about the shorts, and it's actually something I was thinking about, that on your YouTube channel, almost exclusively we can find music videos. And I was wondering if you were thinking about expanding to other type of content, like more educational or more like I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, I have a few videos here and there. I did one video about interesting instruments, which I was going to make into a series, but then never sort of turned into a series. And then I did...
It happens.
Yeah. I did this... what's sort of like a documentary with Daniel Zuccali.
The guitar maker, right?
Yeah, about for the crossover guitars and whatnot. That was really fantastic. So I've done a few things here and there, and I've done sort of content for some learning platforms like Guitar Masters or sort of Tone Base and whatnot. But I am interested in doing a bit more sort of like... They're sort of like video essays, aren't they? A little bit. Educational videos and whatnot. I do like live stream video contents that have sort of functions, topic functions.
Yeah, right.
So on Patreon. And it would be good to do... I have some things sort of developing to explore with doing that sort of stuff. But... yeah, I think it would be a valuable way of just having some sort of different type of content on there that people can be interested in. But I do mainly playing music videos. Yeah, but you do a bunch of different stuff, right? You do like educational videos.
Yeah. Well, I'm experimenting, so I really found something good for myself, I think, with the educational videos. So for me, I think the two main content on my channel is the educational videos and the music videos. So that's somehow where I found my place. I think there's nothing wrong with being just sharing your music with the world. But for me, I had this... I'm a chronic people pleaser. It's
we all are,
seriously,
aren't we, as musicians?
it's so bad. So after some time sharing my music, I felt like, oh no, I'm sharing all this music, but I didn't feel like I'm helping people with that, or I'm putting myself in a good service.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, but I know that being a musician is like one of the best societal role you can take, because you give so much meaning and so much beauty and art to people. But somehow I just found that, okay, if I know how to make this, I want to help people to be able to get closer to making that for themselves. I guess that's how it started. I was reading a book by Rick Rubin, where he had this idea which really got me. So the idea is if you want to be an artist or a musician, and if you want to take good care of your community, if you want to be in service of your community, first you have to take good care of yourself. So first you want to be the best musician you can be. You want to put the most time and effort in making yourself the best version of yourself. Because if you are in good terms with yourself and with your music, that's when you are able to give the most. And as cheesy as it sounds, it was a big realization for me a few weeks ago. And now for this year, my big goal is to focus a little bit more again on improving myself as a performing musician, as an artist, as a player, so I will have more to say through my music and through my educational videos as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fantastic.
But I also feel like what you do with all the modern music, you play lots of modern pieces, and there's a couple of pieces I've never heard before your performances. And I also have this feeling that you may have this as a societal role to show these pieces. And I don't know, do you have some... Am I touching on to something? Yeah. Do you feel like it's like a role to you to bring awareness to these fantastic pieces?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm so fortunate to have the platform that I have, that it would be a shame if I wasn't able to use it to sort of to benefit everybody in many different ways. So, you know, one of those ways is promoting fantastic music that people maybe haven't heard of before. And there's all sorts of different, you know, compositions from different people. There's a bunch of Australian pieces. That maybe is very, very well known in Australia, but maybe not so much outside. So by Richard Charlton and Ross Edwards and whatnot. And then also I've commissioned a number of pieces as well. That I think it's always such a fantastic thing to be able to do, is to add to the repertoire. And so I've got this wonderful piece by Sergio Assad that I've released. That was fantastic. And also from my husband Jakob Schmidt recently, my latest video was done by him.
I watched it. It's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah, he's good at like everything. He's fantastic. He records my videos as well. So he, you know, a great composer, teacher. You know,
I love his tone-based videos now. It's so creative. It's so good. So funny and entertaining and educational. It's so he's great.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jakob.
Yeah, shout out to Jakob. Yeah. What was I saying about him? Oh yeah, his piece is fantastic as well. I'm sure I'm like, you got to write me a piece about birds. Like, it's sort of what I'm telling you now. No, so it's, you know, promoting composers is fantastic. And then, you know, also I've got so far I've got 2 commissions from women composers that I'm excited to. I've started learning that will be out there as well. So that's Clarice. So far it's Clarice Assad and Laura Snowden. So that's really cool. But I think it's sort of just what's so important is just being, well, what's really affected me that I've experienced at sort of a few different concerts and whatnot is when these little girls come up to me and they say like, oh, you're such a big inspiration to me, my playing and whatnot. And I just think just being, you know, being a woman guitarist online and helping sort of inspire the younger generation is just like, that sort of moves me. One of the most reasons why I do this is because of this. So just being trying my best to set a great example of what we can do as musicians, as people. So I think
right. Yeah, and you know, it's really funny how we get into, at least for me, it's how it happened that I got into music because I really enjoyed music and I really liked playing the guitar, and it was very simple, you know, it's just the feelings, it's just when you're a kid, everything is just so simple, and then you become part of a community, so you stick around because of the community, because the community is also so strongly part of, you connect the community with the music as well. And then over time, I developed this feeling of responsibility, you know, that, okay, I'm not just playing music, but I should bring my A game as much as I can. I have to strive to become the best version of myself, because that's how I can make a change. That's how I can inspire, for example, other people, younger people maybe, or people who, I don't know, just anyone who finds my work. And it's so interesting to see how, you know, for going from something more self-centered, as you go through this musician life, you end up thinking in terms of community and in terms of music society. And that's beautiful, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely, we have really this sort of universal experience of community these days by having this connection through the internet and being able to travel so easily around the place and whatnot. It's sort of, it's been, you know, a fantastic experience. You do feel a lot of pressure in a lot of ways as well. You probably like, you don't want to screw up, or you want to make sure that like what you do, people are still interested in it in the years to come. So it's sort of, but it's really rewarding when when people come up and they listen to your music and they're either moved by it, or they say it motivates them to play or to learn new pieces or whatever. Sort of the background to the inspiration is. It's just like that's why I'm doing this sort of thing. So when it gets hard, because it's not something that's easy, you got to think about that.
I think you're absolutely doing. You found some sweet spot there. What you're doing, I think it's working so well, because if I look at your comment section, your follower base, your any social platforms, it's just so healthy. You know, it looks just everything. It's just so healthy.
They're pretty cool. Yeah, they're doing good.
But what I also really admire about your work is how you take your time to collaborate with a bunch of so many people. You are so, I don't know, like collaborative. Okay, my English vocabulary is very limited.
No, that's correct.
But we'll go with what we.
Oh man, my English. Let's not think about how I speak too much, because it's can get quite interesting. I often think Jakob's German, and obviously, and I often think his English is way better than mine, sort of thing.
It's probably because if you are a native English speaker, you don't feel the pressure of speaking well, I guess. And for us, when we learn the language, we just want to speak it well. So we put like this extra effort into it, maybe. Because on my mother tongue, I'm also, for me, but not like you're not articulate or anything. But for me, I also noticed that when I speak in English, I try to I just try to pull myself together a little bit more than if I was speaking in Hungarian.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
What I wanted to talk about. Okay, I'm losing where I was. You are working with a lot of musicians, and it's actually very inspiring for me, because being a classical guitarist can be quite lonely if you don't force yourself, if you don't make yourself playing with others, because it's just not something that comes by the nature of the instrument.
Right.
We are more of a lonely wolf type of musicians, and I was wondering, what are the biggest lessons, or what's the best experience to gain from these collaborations? What would you say that, I don't know, the biggest takeaway and the biggest lesson from working with others?
Oh, I mean, music is inherently something that sort of we do with others, and you gain sort of a lot of experience and understanding of how to play music, and how to work with others, and how to communicate even just with an audience or whatnot, through the way that you work with alongside other players, and understanding how to communicate ideas clearly, and how to understand a piece, and the different balances that you have to bring into the piece and whatnot. All of this is learned very clearly through chamber work, and a lot of my ensemble work, particularly earlier on, but also just like in International Guitar Night, for example, is involving working with musicians of different styles and different genres, and just this being able to work with these other musicians and be able to learn about their craft and their background and their art, even if it's another classical guitarist. It doesn't have to be a different genre. It's just is so invaluable to my playing and how I developed as a musician, and for anyone that would be. It's you learn so much from other people, and also when I was playing with Karen, with the level that she plays at with her violin was just like, it's amazing how many things sort of just clicked together, and how I could understand how to work with these different instruments. And it's always a problem with guitar and violin and whatnot, about balance and whatnot, and how easily this sort of came to resolve and everything. So it's you as much as you can do, particularly the opportunities that you get. So for example, in your earlier years in university or whatnot, if you're able to do as much as possible working with other people, working in different ensembles, not only just with classical guitar, but also with other instruments and even with other styles, because that's where the most growth comes from. This ability to communicate and this ability to interpret and assess the pieces with like-minded people and get their insight in how they approach. And it's such a delicate delicate topic on how to, when you're playing with someone, that moment of communication, that just split second of time of when to come in and how to interpret that and respond to that is just, it's such an important skill that you can definitely take a lot of this into your solo playing as well. I feel like I think a lot of my communication skills in terms of communicating to the audience is from what I've done with what I've learnt in chamber music and through other styles.
That's interesting. It's a little bit different topic, but collaborating with others just reminded me of how I've seen you have also collaborated with brands like Yamaha. I think Yamaha is the one, and Hannebach, for example. I was wondering how your work with these brands look like, or how do you work with brands when it happens?
Yeah, I mean, everyone that I work with, it is an absolute sort of genuine sort of respect and appreciation to what they do. So whatever Hannebach strings, for example, great strings, fantastic work, really well. Also, someone else's guitar lift, for example, that's fantastic product.
I'm a big fan too. Love it.
Yeah. It's so great. And that was literally, I think I was at like I was in university while I was studying my master's, and we had sort of like some camp weekend away to where we all tried to play music to each other and whatnot. And they have like a topic that they come in. So someone comes in and does like a lecture or something, and the maker of guitar lift, Felix, he came in and he was showing the guitar lifts, and I had a guitar support, but I wasn't completely happy with it because, when I moved, it sort of, the suction cup sort of like popped off a little bit. And I move a lot when I play.
Same for me.
So
I know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was like, well, this is a bit strange. It goes on the back of the guitar. I wonder how that works. And then he was just showing us, and it was just like an instant like reaction, like, whoa, this really stays. Like, you'd think, oh, it's on the side, like maybe it will slip off. No, you can like hold it on the side of it, and it stays on really well. So I was instantly like, oh my goodness, I need to have this. But like, I couldn't buy one because I didn't really have any cash. I only had like lots of coins, maybe a few like €10 bills and stuff, and I scrambled together all of this like loose change and stuff, and I was like, Felix, take my offering. Like, I think I got it like really discounted because I was some poor student with all my coins. He felt sorry for me.
That's so funny.
So thanks for giving me that guitar lift for probably a little bit less than what I should have got for it, but I should have paid for it. But it was I think it's really fun to be able to collaborate with these different products as well, because it's really interesting to see what's being developed, and there's so many great ideas out there, guitar lift being one of them, and yeah, it's a fun experience for sure.
Right. For me, it's similar with Daddario, and there's another couple of brands, but mostly I think my biggest ongoing partnership is with Daddario, and I didn't really use Daddario strings before. It wasn't the most it wasn't the most popular strings when I started, I think, and I just never really transitioned to it. And for me, there was one type of strings which when they sent me a bunch of strings, and there was this XT series, one of their new type of strings, and for me that was this instant click that, hey, right, these strings does what I want to do. and I really like that feeling. I think what's really interesting is when I look at a lot of musicians I follow and a lot of creative people I follow, I only see, or we mostly see, end results publicly. Of course, you share a lot of behind the scenes stuff probably on Patreon, and you keep your most devoted audience and followers in the loop more, but mostly we see end results, and it always makes me forget about the fact that these people have to struggle they way through on a project, and they had ups and downs, and it's just not an easy ride every time. And I was wondering what, I don't want to say what are you struggle with these days, but what challenges do you find in being a performing artist? What are the biggest challenges of your career right now? What do you find challenging about it? That's the best way to put it.
One of the most difficult things I think we all struggle with as performers is being too self-critical of yourself. I think it's a natural thing to do, and it's almost also a necessary thing to do. You always have to be critical, like, oh, what can I improve? What can I do better? How can I improve what I'm doing? And that makes you a good musician to be able to do that. But you got to make sure you do this in a way that's a healthy level, that you don't push this too much. And I think being so present online it sort of opens yourself up to being worried about what people think a lot of the time. And I think maybe that's the thing I struggle with the most. I think I could post more. I think I could share more. But, there's been a lot of videos that I have, even if they're just small videos or whatnot, that I record. I'm like, oh, no, I can't share that. Like, because of some interpretive thing I've done in what sort of bio or whatnot, or like, oh, people won't like this. Or maybe I've seen in this way because of, like, I'm not taken seriously because I haven't done the best playing in this aspect or whatnot. So I think the biggest struggle that I have, and the hardest thing for me, is that I can be quite hard on myself in a lot of ways, and it's such a way, it's so much sort of exposure there. So that's something that I think is a challenge. I think a lot of people probably feel that way. I think it's quite a normal thing to do, to feel, but that would be something that I would be working on the most. I'm most interested in. Yeah, and then always just making sure that what I do is interesting. I really hope that everything that I do and the projects that I have coming up, and that people over the next few years will still be interested in me. Mm-hmm.
I think if you are staying, true to yourself, if you stay authentic, you can't lose it. If you try to act like someone else, if you would try to be someone else, people would pick up and you would burn out, people would lose interest. But being authentic never gets boring. Right.
Yeah. Just don't overthink it. I think I have an overthinking issue.
No, yeah. I feel you, and I also struggle with the exact same thing. And what helps me to be a little bit more forgiving with myself is when I listen to that, a recording I made, I always have to remind myself that, okay, maybe I could do better than that if I sit down now, but in that given moment, that was the best I could do. And I can't play better than the best I can at that moment, right? So it's really unfair to expect from myself to be able to play better than my best was at that given moment. So it's just so hard to learn to live with ourselves in the when you hear something and
with the terrible things that we do.
This is me now, and I have to live with this for the rest of my life.
It's good if you wait a few weeks and then you listen to it. Yes. Then
it helps.
Then it's actually, wow, I could play quite well. But if I listen to it directly after playing, I'd be like, oh my gosh, what have I done?
Yeah.
But that is actually the hardest thing for me to do. Is by far the hardest thing is that after recording, listening to that recording to get it ready to post online. It's so difficult for me.
The fact that we don't really like our former recordings also means that we are improving as musicians, right? Because
Right. Yeah, of course.
if you would like them, that means that you can't really judge them from an objective perspective, or you didn't learn over the coming years or the past few years, you didn't learn new things that you could implement into those recordings now. So if you would record them now, you would record them much differently, and that's a great thing. That just means that
Right.
we're improving, and I think I try to see it as a good thing, but of course it's really hard. For me, a great pressure, and I think it's connected to this topic, is how I have this pressure of showing up on the internet as much as possible. You know, because if I'm not showing up with a new video every now and then, if I don't have eyeballs on my work constantly,
then it'll all disappear.
People will forget. Yeah, it's like, you know, like a quantum thing. Like if people don't looking at my work, I don't exist.
Then I don't exist.
I don't know. Yeah,
no, I have the same issue. I mean, you post like way more than me, so you're taking care of this way better. But I have the same issue. I'm like that pressure. But then it's like this challenge that I have within me. Like I need to be posting more, but the amount of effort that I like have to put into doing something to make it sure it's exactly how I want it to be, and like that I interpret the piece in a certain way. I don't know. I'm just like so critical of like how I'm playing a piece that I delay myself. Not necessarily even if it doesn't make sense, I inhibit myself. I mean, yeah. I don't know.
I know. I hear you. I was wondering, because you were talking about the pressure of a perfect recording, and just a final thought about just a final question about these the concert, being a concert artist. How would you compare the stress level or the perfectionism in terms of recording and a concert situation?
Right. Yeah. So they both have the different struggles. So with recording, the pressure is that, I mean, the great thing is you can play it many times. You know, you can choose the best take out of many times. But also, there's this idea of it being so permanent as well there. So the pressure is really coming from the idea that, people will be listening to this in days, months, years from now, this recording that I post online. And I want to make sure that I give this piece that's what it deserves, the respect that it deserves, and how it should sound, and the representation of what I can do with this piece. And the concert is like, you've only got it once. So that's the pressure. You only got one chance to show everybody here.
It's like the two endpoints of a spectrum. You have the spectrum, and you do only the two things at the end, and there's nothing in between.
And then the worst thing is that when the concert is recorded, so you've got I only can do this once, and then
but it has to be perfect because it stays. Oh no.
Yeah, that's the struggle that we have there for sure. I think, but the more concerts you do, the more likely is that I feel like, you know, on the tour, all of the concerts I was doing last year, so the more I did a concert, the more it sort of like, I'm glad, it sort of worked. So I'm these days I'm pretty happy with how things unfold on the stage, but that's because you're so comfortable with the pieces. If you've got like a new piece that you're bringing into your program, that's when the stress starts to really set in terms of the sort of environment, the experience that you have on the stage with the new piece. It's just, there's so much sort of energy there of like trying to be comfortable with it and how to communicate this new piece to your audience. So that's where the difficulty comes in that sense. But yeah, they both, in terms of, I don't think I can say which I prefer more. I think I enjoy both of them for different reasons. I love the connection that you can build with the audience, and then I love the process of recording, of really trying to express exactly what I want, and then knowing that is then going to be shared with people, and online is sort of really fantastic.
Yeah, they have different beauties, and if it was easy, everyone would do it. So of course it takes some things, but then at the same time both are very rewarding. Where can we see you performing next time? Where are you going to perform next?
Well, this year I'm going to. Well, next is I think in France, in the south of France. That's almost confirmed. But I am playing in Norway, in Bergen. That would be my next concert in April, actually. So I have a bit of time to just learn some new pieces and record some new pieces and whatnot. And then it's like chock-a-block to a concert sort of for the rest of the year. What I'm really excited about is I'm going to South America for the first time. In September, I'll be playing in Chile. So that will be a big milestone for me, because I've always wanted to go to Chile, and I think it'll be fantastic. So yeah, and I've never been to Norway, so I'm excited to go to Norway as well. So, flights booked today.
Can't wait to see some updates about it. I can't wait to hear more about these concerts. One last thing, where can people connect with you? Where can people find you if they want to follow your work?
Yeah, on my YouTube is Stephanie Jones, and my Instagram or whatnot, Steph Jones Guitar, and my Patreon is Steph Jones. So
awesome. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for this beautiful conversation.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.